Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube. Kevin Rogers with you, and very happy to be joined by Matt Cooper as he is covering the British Open this week. And let's get some best bets and some analysis about the British Open, another big major in golf. And Matt, it's good to see you again. Matt, freelance golf journalist, does a lot covering the sport. And Matt, first thing, Rory Mcilroy, he is the favorite going into this tournament at 10-1 odds. Rory, we know it's almost his backyard. He's from Ireland. It's in Scotland, this tournament. What do you think Rory's his odds are to win this tournament?
Yeah, he's the clear favourite, and it makes a lot of sense. But he has some quite interesting history with both the tournament, with Major Championship Golf, and also with the golf course. We all know he's not won a major since 2014, and in actual fact, his drought kind of began at this golf course in 2015 when he broke his foot having a kickabout playing five-a-side football with his friends. He's not won a major since then, but he loves this golf course. He's had multiple rounds in the 60s in a tournament called the Dunhill Links Championship, as well as in the Open when he finished third here in 2010. It remains a big issue in golf. Can Rory, who's possibly the most naturally brilliant talent in the sport, can he win a major championship again? The crowds and the sport are desperate for him to do it this week. It would be a fantastic story, but the brutal reality is he has struggled so much to actually get over the finishing line in a major that the odds probably are not in your favour. If you want to back, if you're backing him, you're doing it out of fondness rather than through brutal facts. That's the tough call to come up with this week.
Yeah, we'll see how Rory fares. Obviously, another big name, that people are going to be keeping an eye on this week, Matt, is Tiger Woods. And Tiger at 65-1. He last won here, Matt, in 2006. It's been a while for Tiger. We know about the health issues. We know about the age. But what do you think Tiger can do if he can make it to the weekend or even go further than that?
Yeah, well, I actually got here to St Andrews yesterday, and the first thing I did was go out on the course and followed Tiger playing a round of golf with Justin Thomas. And again, another brutal fact, as people were watching him, we were wincing because he's really struggling to walk around the golf course. And yet, part of me thinks, many of us, this is fresh to us to see just how difficult it is for him to walk. But Justin Thomas, who we played with, is quite used to seeing Tiger in Florida when they play golf together. And the first thing he said was that Tiger's swinging the club really well. And it wouldn't surprise him if he does well this week. Realistically, I think if he plays 4 rounds of golf, that's a success. I can't see him being a contender this week. No matter how much this man does astonishing things, I just hope he makes the weekend and gets the acclaim of the crowds. And we just have a fantastic week where we celebrate a champion. I can't see him winning.
Now, Jordan Spieth, Matt, 15-1 odds. He finished second last year behind Collin Morikawa. We'll get to Morikawa in a second. But as far as Spieth goes, can he get over the hump this time around?
He's one of my favourite bets this week. I think if you can get him each way or back into win only and then maybe get a top 10 on top of that. The big key with Jordan Spieth is if the greens, both playing around the greens and on the greens, fires his creativity, Jordan Spieth is in a different league as a golfer. We've seen that when he's performed so brilliantly at Augusta National. Not only was he second in this tournament last year, but back in 2015 when the tournament was last at the Old Course, he was one shot out of a playoff when he was actually going for the third stage of the Grand Slam for that year. So he knows how to play on this golf course. He's on paper saying that he loves it. I think he's got an excellent chance this week, and he warmed up with a good top 10 last week in the Scottish Open, also on links golf, and this course is a better fit for him than last week's was.
Another golfer, like we just mentioned with Spieth, Collin Morikawa, 15 under to win last year at the British Open, Matt. He's at 28-1 this time around. Do you think he can repeat?
I would be a little bit sceptical. He's not in the form that he was in last year. He's had a sparkling start to his professional golf career, winning 2 majors very quickly. There's a little bit of element of doubt that last year the golf course, some people say it didn't play entirely like a linksland golf course. I think this week that's definitely going to be the case. It's very dry, very brown, very bouncy, and I think the subtleties of linksland golf might just trip Collin Morikawa up this week.
I want your thoughts here on Jon Rahm, Matt. 16-1, and we know Rahm is always going to be in that mix. He hasn't really gotten over the hump a lot, but Jon Rahm, your thoughts there? Because right now, behind McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Spieth, is Jon Rahm at 16-1.
Yeah, you could get him at a shorter pace. He's drifted a little bit in the last in the last few months, and there's a real reason why that's the case. He's generally speaking, his game is brilliant all round, but his short game on and around the greens has struggled a bit in 2022, and that tends to be an element of the game that's really important on the links land. So it's going to be something that he needs to improve upon this week to contend. But the good news for him is that when he won his first major at the US Open last year at Torrey Pines, he was hugely motivated by the plot of land he was playing on. He had a lot of emotional connections with Torrey Pines, and he has the same here this week at the Old Course. Severiano Ballesteros won the Open here. It's the most famous thing that Sevi ever achieved as a Spanish golfer, and Jon Rahm knows all about it and wants to emulate it. But he's fighting those demons on and around the greens at the moment. So he's a no for me this week.
Matt, I know that we like to lump all these guys together now, but all of the live golfers, when you look at that list with the guys like Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, some of them, anybody stick out there? And also, I guess, besides that, do you think it would be a positive or negative effect them coming here with the major with all the live stuff going on?
I think it can't be anything other than a distraction because probably to a greater extent than the American media, the British media are going to ask questions about live should any of those golfers be in contention at the weekend. Now, for example, if Sergio Garcia, who is a live golfer, was to be in contention, there's absolutely no doubt he'd be asked questions about it. And he has a legendary inability to deal with difficult questions. It's not a criticism of him. It's not something that he copes with very well. And it is going to be a big problem. I don't expect him to contend because he's been in a rotten form ever since he won his first major, the Masters in 2017. I think if anybody's going to do it, it would be Louis Oosthuizen. But he might have played all his best golf on the Old Course. He won by 7 shots here in 2010 and lost a playoff in 2015. So he knows the golf course inside out. Whether he can continue to play so brilliantly, I don't know. But had Brandon Grace been here, I think he would have had a great chance. Unfortunately for him, he didn't qualify. But I'd be surprised if a live golfer is in contention on Sunday. They might be in contention on Friday or Saturday, but it would be tough for them to stay in the hunt throughout the whole 72 holes.
Matt, finally, give me one or two under the radar golfers to keep an eye out for that could win this weekend.
First one I'll give you is Tommy Fleetwood, the Englishman. He plays the Dunhill Links here, which is a tournament that takes place on 3 courses in this neck of the woods, but they play 2 rounds at the Old Course, and Tommy Fleetwood averages 68 on the Old Course in that tournament and 67 in the final round. So he knows how to play it when he's in contention and when it's really important that he plays well. He finished second in this tournament in 2019 behind Shane Lowry, and I really like the fact that he finished tied 5th in the PGA Championship in May. So he's got experience of contending a major quite recently. I think he's got a lot in his favour and a real outsider for you. And I think this guy, you would look at him either potentially first round leader each way or something like a top 10 or a top 20 is Keith Mitchell, the American. Now, when you first look at his record, he's played this tournament twice and missed 2 cuts. But on both occasions, he had a round in the 60s, and then he just had 1 bad round. So it's not that he's completely clueless on the links land. Here's the key with him, though. Not only has he had 2 top 10s recently, and he closed with a 66 last week in Scotland, but he has big connections with St Andrews. His father is a member of the RNA, and his sister came to college here. He spent a lot of time in the town. He's played the Old Course quite a bit. He's not quite the big wild outsider he appears to be on first glance. So he and Fleetwood and Spieth would be my 3 for the week.
All right, Matt, before we let you go, what are you doing this week as far as covering the British Open? Where can people find you?
Yep, I'm doing a diary for Sporting Life all week, and that is looking at little angles for bettors. So definitely take a look at Sporting Life, and I will be linking that from my Twitter account at Matt Cooper Golf. And I've also profiled the top 50 in the betting for Betfair. If you go onto my Twitter, you'll see everything I'm doing this week.
All right, Matt Cooper, great job covering the sport of golf. At Matt Cooper Golf is where you can find him on Twitter, covering the British Open. Matt, thank you so much for the time. We'll talk to you again soon.
That's great. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, that is Matt Cooper. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for watching this British Open betting preview right here on Vegas Insider.